Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes on the hillside, little boxes all the same. There's a pink one.
Urban sprawl. I do not know what that is.
Urban sprawl? Absolutely no idea.
Urban sprawl? Probably something to do with inner cities. It's got to do with food.
Yes. I think urban sprawl is a fight between different ethnic groups.
Urban sprawl is defined as uncontrollable expansion of urban areas which invade open spaces. Urban sprawl is more than just the measure of density. It also takes into account the way the density is distributed in metropolitan areas. It works in a leapfrog pattern. Developers choose open lands rather than land closer to other residences or heavily developed areas. The effects on the surrounding watersheds and stream health have been dramatic and most likely irreversible.
The effects of urban sprawl are interesting because it's the same kind of effects on water quality as the effects of urbanization. That is, increased water quantity, decreased water quality. But the thing about sprawl is that it's affecting a larger area. So when you end up with suburbia and a lot more roads, a lot more rooftops, a lot more driveways in areas that used to be rural, that means more of the watershed is impacted by this. Not just a small area impacted by a city, but instead all of your small tributaries are impacted negatively in terms of water quality. So the way urban sprawl increases erosion is that the impervious surfaces increase the velocity of water. And the faster water moves, the more power it has. And the more power it has, the more ability to carry sediments with it. And so the faster water is moving, the more sediments it can carry. The more sediments it can carry, the more sediments it will carry, meaning that's your increased erosion. Those sediments end up in the water themselves, and so that creates turbidity. So more turbid water impacts the ability for fish to see, the way macroinvertebrates live, or all of the benthic animals live on the bottom of the stream bed. And also it physically removes the stream banks, so plants are not able to establish themselves as well, and you end up with very steep stream banks that can't support life, and you end up with urban stream systems that are basically have lower biodiversity because of that.
Overdeveloping rural areas for housing and farm use increases the amount of chemical runoff that enters the watershed. Sediments from erosion, mixed with these chemicals, clog the waterways and destroy stream health.
And with a large population increase comes urbanization. And with urbanization comes impervious surfaces, and with impervious surfaces comes more surface water runoff. Surface water runoff automatically leads to higher flows, higher discharge, higher velocity, more erosion, meaning poorer water quality.
Overdeveloping rural areas for housing and farm use increases the amount of chemical runoff that alters the watershed. Sediments from erosion, mixed with these chemicals, clog the waterways. Less clarity, less oxygen, and more pollutants. While it takes 1,000 years to naturally generate only 3 centimeters of topsoil, 10 to 12 million hectares are being stripped every year due to erosion and urbanization.
Our products are pesticide products that are used in the environment to control weeds, insects, and diseases in the agricultural and urban landscapes. Over 350 required regulatory studies. Many of them are related to water and both ecotoxicological, human toxicological, because of the potential presence of our pesticides in water. So from a general standpoint, our products cannot be registered and therefore not used unless they've gone through this testing regime. And when I say movement into water, I mean above levels of concern. Environmental Protection Agency will select levels of concern for potential impacts on the environment, potential impacts on drinking water. And so by the time our products hit the market, they already will have been cleared by the Environmental Protection Agency that they won't move into levels that are at levels that are above any level of concern.
Yeah.
So where that's concerned, when you ask about North Carolina watersheds, for example, that it's a national level assessment. North Carolina should be the same. We do in a number of our products, especially older ones, we do have specific monitoring protocols for ones that are in the marketplace, but none, and that's area specific.
Pesticides from farms and homes get into the water, seeping off impermeable surfaces and directly into the watershed, instead of into the ground first, where it can be filtered before entering streams and the water table. Even though many of these products are said to be harmless by their companies, when they wind up in the watershed, they increase turbidity and affect fish and the overall stream and river health.
Under the law called the Safe Drinking Water Act, or the Clean Water Act, states are required to test for many products if they fall under those acts, the Safe Drinking Water Act or Clean Water Act, and those tests are done by the states themselves. If there's an issue, it's usually related to people using the products not following the label instructions. If there's a spill or a misuse, we call it. So our labels are very stringent on how they should be applied, and when they should be applied, and at what levels, and where they cannot be applied, and how to protect water quality, as amongst other things. So if there ever is something that shows up, it's what's called an illegal use. Actually, the labels on our products are considered law, federal law, and some of those the ones that are in the press these days are certain like herbicides, products that are used to control weeds in large farms, and sometimes if it rains shortly after application of those, they can run off into streams and the like. But again, those are all accounted for in the registration process.
With increases of impermeable surfaces like sidewalks, roads, and highways, however, the water has only one place to go. Faster, dirtier, and warmer water is entering the watershed, wreaking havoc on the stream beds and stream health.
If there's any spill or misuse, we'll get engaged if we're asked to. But generally speaking, what's seen out in the environment doesn't require us to do any special treatment ourselves. It is a national, for pesticides, it's a national registration, but each state does have its own regulations, and the federal government gives authority to the states to be more stringent if they want, and some states are. California, Florida, a few others can have those levels of concern can be lower or more stringent than federal. So that does exist, yeah. Yeah, it is that regulatory process I talked about. For groundwater specifically, there are requirements for our products to be tested on suppose you spray a pesticide, it will be transformed by the soil by a lot of different types of chemical or biochemical processes. So we have to test what it will be transformed into, how that'll move down into the aquifers, and at what levels, and then with that, what are the toxicological levels, and but with that, there are universities and others that test very, very low levels, part per trillion levels, and sometimes see our products well below these level of concern I talked about.
However, it's not just large chemical companies contributing to this problem. The chemicals you use to wash your car, such as triclosan, can be just as harmful to stream health as a commercial farm spraying pesticide.
So the side pain that I've been having for years started getting worse. And doctors couldn't figure out what it was. I basically was just in pain all of the time. And so when we moved into our house, it started getting worse again. Mainly, I think because the house was built in 1964, so I don't know if like the pipes were older or what was going on. So one day we just got this little vial in the mail. It says if you take a sample and send it in, we'll test your water. And that was right after all that stuff in High Point happened, so obviously I wasn't gonna say no. So I did that, sent it in. Not even 2 days later, I get a phone call, and they said they found some stuff that they felt was a little iffy with our water, even just that little tiny sample. So they wanted to come out and do a full test on our water. And so we kind of test our water. He tests the chlorine level, which I feel was the worst out of all of it, mainly because the government regulates the chlorine level in water. Like, let's say a swimming pool is a level 3 max. Well, our chlorine level in our drinking water was a level 5, and that's the highest level.
Chlorine is used in water treatment plants as a disinfectant. When it interacts with organic compounds, it creates trithalomethanes, which cause bladder, rectal, and breast cancer when ingested. Most people think bottled water is a better alternative. This is not true, because typical bottled water is treated the same as tap water with the same levels of chlorine. It also generates a large amount of plastic waste.
He also tested the hardness of our water, and when that came back, he said basically in a year's time we would have the equivalent of a 40-pound rock coming in through our pipes.
Water hardness is the mineral content of water, particularly the concentration of magnesium and calcium. As water flows by rocks and soils, it picks up these minerals. It is measured on a spectrum from soft to hard. Most studies consider hard water to be just a nuisance, since minerals build up in your pipes and damage water heaters. However, a study from the International Journal of Preventative Medicine found a very hard water causes cardiovascular mortality.
And there was also a few other tests, like the pH level. And with that, he said the day before he had tested someone's water in Reedsville. It has their city water, and they said it was pretty acidic. So he said today, because yesterday was pretty bad, it should be fine today, but that's because they put a bunch of chemicals in it that kind of regulates the pH level. And so when he did that, I think the normal color is kind of like a green color. Well, it was like a dark blue. So that's how you can tell that they put a ton of chemical, because naturally water's not going to do that. We decided to get the water filtration system put in our house. And immediately I noticed a difference in our clothes when I go to take a shower. It was over, I want to say, about a week after having it. I didn't have any more pain in my side at all.
This isn't an isolated incident, however. Recently in Flint, Michigan, as a way to cut cost, the city decided to switch its water source to the highly polluted Flint River. Water that was brown and foul-smelling and had high levels of lead, all of which pose a serious threat to Flint's residents. Switching back will cost nearly $12 million. The city used water filtration systems as a temporary fix. There is no single solution to eliminating all the harmful effects urban sprawl has on water quality. However, you can take it upon yourself to help. Get your water tested, look into a water filtration system for your home, enrich your soil with compost instead of chemical fertilizers. Every city has a chemical waste disposal site. It's free and easy to use. We often dismiss these issues as somebody else's. The truth is that the effects of urban sprawl are closer to home than you realize. It's important to do your part before it's too late. If this problem is everyone's fault, then everyone can be part of the solution.
Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes on the hillside, little boxes all the same. There's a pink one and a green one and a blue one and a yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same. And the people in the houses all went to the university where they were put in boxes and they came out all the same. And there's doctors and lawyers and business executives, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same.